Hey, what's up, guys? So, third time's a charm. Hey, Noah? We've shot this twice. The first time we thought the spray booth was the problem. The second time we thought we were good. And the third time we found out that we didn't have the microphone plugged in, so the audio was all jacked up. So now I've been able to collect my thoughts in two different episodes. We're going to see if we can shoot this one successful. We're up on top of a Class A that we brought in about a week ago. The back of the fiberglass roof blew apart in a windstorm. So first of all, fiberglass roofs, they can get damaged as well. The roof itself was flashed over the side and stuck down into the gutter, and the only thing that was actually holding the fiberglass in place was a bead of caulk. I'm pretty sure what happened was the wind blew hard enough to pull that caulk up, and once it got underneath it, it just blew it apart. But anyway, so this is what one of our roofs looked like before we spray it. I wanted to go through all of the little details because it's not terribly difficult if you've got the equipment and the facility and the training and the know-how. Once you've got that stuff, there's some differences between chemical and there's some differences between some of the details, and some of it I want to share so that maybe it just gets mainstream, because as we develop all of these processes and as we work more and more with this chemical, we're not just trying to spray the roof and collect your check and get on to the next one. We're actually trying to improve on all kinds of things that are going on in the industry. So the first thing that you're going to see anytime that you're dealing with one of our roofs is the curb that I'm standing in front of. This is a roof vent that's at the back of the coach, and on a normal roof, this curb right here would not be here. We add those because water doesn't run uphill. So when we put these down, we get them all sealed in and they're glued down so that they're adhered to the roof. When we spray it, the polyurea is going to come from the side, will go all the way up. It goes up, over, and down into this area, and then we set the vent or whatever fixture it is on top of that. The reason we do that is, again, water doesn't run uphill. I actually brought some props since we've done this a couple of times, and I wanted to give you an idea on what's going on. This is actually a vent off of another roof, and let's pretend that it's sitting down inside for a second, or I could set it down in here, and let's pretend that this curb is a normal RV roof. What happens when it's on a normal RV roof or a camper or whatever, when you put your Dicor in after it's screwed down, this Dicor is creating a dam. So as water flows over this, it actually hits right here and it stays on the inside of the fixture. In this case, the vent is aluminum, but the problem is that the aluminum doesn't stick to the TPO or the fiberglass or whatever, so they're relying on underneath. A lot of times you'll see some butyl, sometimes you won't, but they're relying on Dicor typically. There's some other stuff obviously, but they're relying on a sealant of some sort to go along this edge and keep the water from getting underneath. The big problem that we see is in the wintertime, especially up here, water hangs out. You can probably see it a little better up there, but water hangs out on this side of this little dam that's been created because of the sealant. And as that water hangs out, it finds just a minuscule little bit of place to get underneath. It freezes, it lifts up, and then once it thaws, it evaporates and it goes away. Well, if it does that over time, it'll eventually find a weak spot and it'll get itself in. And there's so many people I see, especially right now. Right now is everybody's running around and how do I seal my roof? And everybody's focused on the main part of the membrane. And most of the time, the membrane's not the problem. Most of the time, it's a roof vent or a skylight or a pipe vent or a refrigerator vent or something along those lines that's given way. And they're thinking, well, I'm going to mop this stuff on and everything's going to be hunky-dory. It never fixes the problem. Most of the time it makes it worse. But we're trying to go in, and everything we do is based on long construction history of just, this is how you do. If you're doing a flat roof or a residential roof or a commercial roof or anything like that, if you're doing it in anything other than campers, you'll always see curbs here. I don't understand why the RV industry hasn't done this, other than it just takes time. So anyway, this is one of the first things that you're going to see on our roof. When we spray these things, like I said, we do it on purpose. We don't just go back. I hear a lot of our competition go in and they say, well, we're not engineers, we didn't do this, or they didn't do it that way, so we're not going to do it that way. And frankly, that's not all right with me. We kind of, in a roundabout kind of way, we stumbled into this product. It's manufactured by a company that we were already doing business with, and they developed it for the RV industry, specifically to go on roofs. This material isn't adapted from some other use. It's made specifically for RV camper roofs, and we spray it on the slides and a lot of other places as well. But what it's here for, it's not a normal polyurea, it's an aliphatic polyurea. The competition that's been around for quite a while, they spray a pure polyurea and then they top coat with an aliphatic paint. The reason that they're doing that is the pure poly is, it's actually a little less than a third the cost of the material that we spray. It's easier to use. What we spray needs to be sprayed in a conditioned environment. If the humidity's going up or down or temperatures are weird, it doesn't perform well, and a lot of times it can blister while it's curing. The stuff they're spraying, you can spray just about anywhere, and most of the time they're in pole barns and stuff like that. So the environment that you spray in, it's more expensive. The chemical's more expensive. The processes that we use are more expensive. It's more expensive to put the curbs down. It's more expensive to take the time to put the seams that I'm going to talk about down. But the finished product, you're paying a premium. You've paid a whole lot of money for your rig. You paid a whole lot of money for me to for you to show up to my shop, and we want to give you the best product. What we're trying to do is make sure that we're competitive with everybody. Obviously, if I'm $10,000 more expensive than everybody else, I'm not going to spray a whole lot of roofs. So we try to stay very competitive. Dollar for dollar, we might be a little bit more, but when we're a little bit more, it's because we're taking the time to do this. I've seen the competition's training manual. I've read it cover to cover several times, and everything they talk about is get the rig in bring it in Monday morning and have it done, no questions asked, have it done by Tuesday evening. Otherwise, you're losing money. That's not our mindset. Our mindset is to bring it in, address all of the issues. If we find an issue, then it's going to be a conversation. If we pull a piece of decking up, we knew we were going to replace the piece of decking, and we find a rotted truss out, are we going to just put the decking back, or are we going to rebuild the truss? In our case, we're going to rebuild the truss. If we find an AC box or a distribution box that's been trashed because it's been leaking for a long time, are we just going to deck over it and say, hey, that ought to be good enough, or are we going to go back and fix it? At my shop, we'll always fix it. We can fix the vents, the ceiling. If you watched any of the other videos, there's really not anything we can't fix. So my point is, dollar for dollar, we're going to be competitive. Then the question is, how deep into this thing do you want us to go? Do you want us to get to a certain point and stop? Do you want us to keep going so that once we're done with the job and you leave, you know that it's going to be done. It's going to be done right. But anyway, back to the material. The material that we spray has been developed specifically for the RV industry. We're the first to spray it in the country. It took us a long time to figure it out. And we've pretty much got it figured out now, but if anybody else wants this material, they need to come through our shop and they need to get licensed in order to spray it. That's important to us just so that we can continue to maintain, if you're going to use our product, you're going to maintain a standard that's above the industry standard. This is just for today's exercise, we'll call this a Coke can, right? This is just a regular aluminum can that we've sprayed. It's actually sprayed right at the normal thickness that we would spray on a roof, but you can't see it obviously, but I can't crush this thing. We've actually, you can take 4 of these. I've got a 2500 diesel truck. I can take 4 of these and set my whole truck down on, each tire gets a can, and the whole truck will set on one of these and it won't crush. It's super, super strong. So once the roof is down, once we've sprayed everything, it's going to take, I'm not saying it's impervious because it's not, but if a tree limb scratches across the top of it, it's not going to hurt anything. It's going to have to be a branch, and you're going to have to work to get this thing boogered up. If you get into a hailstorm, I've actually taken a 5-pound sledge with this sheeting after it's been sprayed, and I smacked the material on the sprayed side, and it broke the wood behind the spray or the polyurea, but the polyurea itself wasn't damaged. So when you put this decking down over the existing deck, or in this case there's 4 inches of styrofoam on this, it actually strengthens the entire structure. I brought up, since we are doing this for the 3rd time, I brought up a panel that we've got in our showroom. You get a good shot of that. This is the sprayed side. This is what this roof will look like once everything's down. This is smooth right now. I put a little bit of texture in it just to give it a little bit of grip while you're walking on it. But this is 5mm sheeting that you can get from Home Depot. We primed it, sprayed it, and you can see it at thickness. We'll probably try to get a close-up of this. My point is that you can see how it flexes and holds. Everything's nice and happy. What this material doesn't like is if I had another sheet, the same setting right next to it, and the seam is sitting right here, if this sheet, if I was walking on this sheet and this sheet stayed together and they moved like this, anytime you've got a movement that goes straight up and down, you can actually tear it this direction. It'll flex. It's got over 700% elongation properties, so this stuff's got a ton of flexibility to it. But if you're trying to shear it and go straight down onto it, it can tear right at the seam. So I've had a lot of people, I've posted a lot of pictures online, I've had a lot of people say, why do you have these edges? I've never seen that before. Well, you haven't seen it before because the competition's been spraying roofs for 10 years and they haven't done this. We need to, we're always going to, because like I said, we've got to take care of this shear. Has there been an accident? Well, chances are they probably won't tell you about it, I would imagine, because nobody likes to talk about their failures. But for whatever reason, they haven't done it. I know for a fact because I've tested it, and I've caused it to shear in our shop. So all of these joints are overlap joints. In this case, we ran the sheeting long ways, which allowed us to overlap here in the center. This joint is glued down, and then each place that 2 sheets meet, we put an overlap joint on that, and we glue it down. So it's just one piece. When we spray it, everything's together, and you're distributing the load over everything. The skylights. The first roof that I sprayed the skylight in just like the competition was doing. I got done with it, and I was like, nope, we're not ever doing that again. And frankly, if he needs a skylight at some point, we're going to cut that thing out, put a curb into it, spray it all in, and then put a skylight down for him just to take care of things. But now all of our skylights get curbed, as well as the vents and all the other structures in here. So what happens, let's say you've got a roof and you've had us do it, and you're 5 or 10 years down the road, that skylight is going to crack, it's going to fail. And if you've sprayed it in, you're either coming back to the shop to have it cut out and sprayed. That's going to be a thing. There's not an easy way to do that. If I put it up on the curb like we do, we use an automotive grade seam sealer in all of our joints to seal everything down. We do that because it chemically bonds to the roof, and then it provides a nice seal, and it's rated at 30 years. That's with UV exposure. When we put the fixture on the roof, the sealant that's actually doing the job is not seeing the ultraviolet light, so it's going to last even longer than that. When we get to a skylight, we seal it in, we screw it down, we seal the screws in. If the skylight goes bad, we peel the sealant off the screws, take the skylight off, put a new one in, screw it back down, seal it all up, everything's good, happy. What's interesting is I did that on my second roof, and the competition's been doing it for over 10 years, and about 6-8 weeks after I did it, they had a big press release that, hey, we're doing curbs on skylights. What I really don't understand is why they're not doing curbs on all the rest of the stuff, and maybe they will. I've had a lot of people ask me, why in the heck are you putting all these videos out, and why are you giving all of this information to the competition? And the reason is, if we're already slammed, there's a roof behind us, there's a Class A behind us that needs a roof. We're waiting on the insurance to approve the job. This one's here. I've got 3 more stacked up behind it that are coming in, and then I just got a call today that we've got another one coming from here in Indianapolis that we're going to have to do a rebuild on. So we're busy. We're extremely busy. Even with all of that, if I spray a roof every day, 365 days a year, and I do that for the next 10 years, I still haven't touched 1% of the RV market. So basically, there's stuff that we do that we're not going to talk about. There's materials that we use that are proprietary to us. Our aliphatic polyurea is proprietary to us. If somebody wants it, they can get it from us, but we're not just going to put it out on the open market and let anybody buy it. It takes time to understand how to use this stuff. But the information that I'm sharing is, I think polyurea roofs are the way to do it. I don't understand. I've seen a lot of other guys that are talking about commercial grade this, or I seal it with that, or liquid rubber this, or Tropicool that, or all of these other things. And the problem is that it never really addresses any of the roof penetrations. It never really addresses any of the weaknesses. If you drag a tree limb across this thing, unless it's a monster, again, something that you shouldn't have been under to begin with, nothing's going to happen. If you drag a tree limb under a TPO roof, the roof behind us had a tree limb, and it's in here for a roof job, and he showed me the size of the branch. I personally drug my camper after we sprayed it underneath a tree. Well, it was a whole thing of tree branches. I drug ours underneath it to show everybody, and I've still got bark on the roof to prove it, and nothing happened. So this stuff is extremely durable, and it's UV stable. This white is going to be the same, or really, really close to the same white 10, 15, 20 years from now as it is now. The competition spraying pure polyurea, and then they use an aliphatic paint. Eventually that aliphatic paint is going to go bad. That's the whole point of it. That's the reason they cover it up, because the polyurea underneath it is not color stable, and once it starts to get smashed with ultraviolet light over time, it will degrade. That's the reason, if you read the fine print, you got to come back, you got to do a recoat. If you don't do the recoat, your warranty's gone, because eventually things are going to start cracking. This stuff has been stress tested, and it just doesn't crack. It doesn't fail as long as it's put down properly. You won't have blisters or any of the other stuff that goes on. So once it's down, it's down. This thing's going to outlast the frame that's on the camper more than likely, as long as you just don't go crazy with it or drag it underneath great big giant tree branches, or run it through a hailstorm and don't at least have it inspected. So the whole point to this is, do it once, do it right, and never do it again. That's what we're all about. I've had a lot of people ask me, we don't see what this looks like, so we're taking the time, we're trying to make this video right so it gets the information out there. You guys can understand who we are. You've seen me on YouTube enough now. And we're starting to do more videos. We're going to do some videos in the shop going forward, but the whole point is to get the information out. And again, a lot of this stuff, the industry could adopt this. This doesn't take it takes time. It doesn't take a huge amount of effort. It takes a little bit of skill, takes a little bit of time. The results are light years better than they ever were. I did get into a pretty heated debate on social media. I just love social media sometimes, but one of the guys that commented, I guess he's part of the competition, we don't spray our ladders in. we reinforce the roof. We spray the reinforcement in, and then we use our seam sealer and put the ladder down in the seam sealer, and then we run screws down through that so everything's sealed up, and then we seal the top of the screws. I have a fundamental issue spraying a ladder in because the polyurea doesn't really want to stick to that bright aluminum very well. And yeah, they spray it up quite a ways, but at what point does it start to leak, or can it leak? Does somebody get up there? Does it peel just a little bit as you're moving the ladders, you're climbing up the thing? Does it happen? And what happens if you just need to change the ladder? As soon as you need to change the ladder, you're going to cut it out, and guess what? You got to go back. I don't want you guys to ever have to come back. I want you to come back and come on a Friday evening and we'll have a beer together. But I don't want you to come back because you've got a roof problem. So all of our ladders are reinforced. We spray them in. We set the ladder down on top inside our, basically there's 2 puddles of sealant. We set the ladder down on top of that. We screw it down, and then we seal on top of that, and then we're done. If you ever need to change the ladder, just unscrew it. You're done. The roof behind us, it looks a little different. It's got a couple of ACs. All of the AC in this rig is down below. The vents are reconfigured different, and the roof is a lot flatter than this one is. But all of that is just basic construction, and that's what we do. It's a little bit of art. It's a little bit of science. It's definitely a lot of polyurea. And it's just a process to pay attention to all these little knick-knack details to get it right. I think that's, have I covered everything that I did the last time? Noah's shaking his head yes. Hopefully our microphone's working this time, buddy. I'm not going to plug anything else. I was making some jokes about doing a Dirty Jobs episode, but if that happens, it happens. If it doesn't, that's fine. We're busy anyway. So that's what's up. If you have questions, call the shop. We're going to post this on our YouTube channel, obviously. We'll put it out on Facebook. Our camper repair website now is ggcamperrepair.com. That's live. It's dragging in crazy amounts of business, but we'll start updating a lot more pictures into that. So the Gregory's Garage Indy is more of our shop side, where we're doing rust proofing and bed liners and stuff like that. Wheels, tires, alignments. And then on this side, we're doing a little bit more construction. And then they share some, because if you've got a travel trailer, you've got a truck. If you've got a truck, we can work on that. If you've got a trailer, we can work on that. And they all just kind of marry together. So that's what's up. If you've got questions, reach out, hit the shop line, ggcamperrepair.com. The phone number on that actually goes to my cell phone. So we're doing emergency roadside services and emergency repairs and on-site repairs. So on the weekends, my cell phone's still ringing. So again, I appreciate you watching. Hit the subscribe button, do that, help us out. And I think that's all for now. Later, guys.